Hello and welcome to this week's Q&A. I've got 3 questions for you and I'm going to get right into it. I hope you're all well. So the first thing I want to start with is an email I got from one of our fellow retreaters that sort of humoured me. So I wanted to share it with you, but there's some insight in here as well. I've tried to bestow compassion for/to a person in order to help myself heal. I do not see them anymore because they've been so selfish. I cannot seem to do it because they actually are the biggest a-hole. I loved receiving this because sometimes this can just be our reality. No matter what we do with the person, they're a part of their temperament or their nature or their personality or their reactivity is just so difficult. And we can name them an a-hole. But what we do, don't we, because we're all developing self-awareness and acceptance, so we accept that they too find this confrontation difficult, and that's where we can really use compassion, that they are unaware of how their reactivity affects us, or they're unaware that their speech and action is harsh or anything like that. But essentially, I don't have a problem with having that thought about them being that. It's more that you don't then let that penetrate your whole body. So thank you for that. And yes, I totally understand. Here's the next, or the actual first question. We often speak about choosing how to respond via our own speech and action, but on the flip side, is there any value in the power of positive thinking to influence the speech and action of others? Great question. I love how you're thinking. My response to this is that I believe there are only sort of 2 ways that we can influence another person's speech and action. One is by modelling it. So that's why self-awareness and your relationship with yourself and deepening your connection to your values and your visions and living that in a very consistent way is really, really helpful for people around you, particularly the people or person you're wanting to influence. So just keep modelling, keep practising yourself and let them see it. Let them see the benefit. Let them see you anchor yourself. Let them see you request a pause. Let them see you living your values throughout daily life, doing your self-care practices, etc. And I think you will find there will be, admiration in the benefits of that. They will notice that. The only other way that I think we can influence the speech and action of others is if they ask us for help with a certain problem, and then we can go down that path and say, well, let's have a think about the problem, how are you handling it, use their language, and then suggest maybe you could speak to this person that you're having a problem with in this way or something like that. So you can influence them in a very subtle way without telling them what to do. And lastly, I think the adage, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink, is really, really appropriate here. Modelling and offering or responding for a request to help, and beyond that, I think we have to leave people up to their own, finding their own path and their own, tripping themselves up and finding their solutions to their own problems and pain. The next question is, this is about restless sleep. I've been waking during the night and finding it hard to get back to sleep, anything from 1 to 2 hours. And as I begin to think about things that make me anxious, do you have any suggestions or remedies for getting back to sleep? So the first thing to say about this is that restless sleep is to be expected from time to time. And the worst thing we can do is judge it, wrestle with it, resist it, criticize it, wish it wasn't there, panic about not having enough sleep because we need a full night's sleep tomorrow. All of that second dart activity. Remember, the first dart is the restless sleep and the problem and the sort of frustration of that. And the second dart is the judging of how that's going to impact me tomorrow, or why can't I, or I wish this person didn't do this because then I wouldn't be anxious. All of that secondary activity is really where you need to start and notice that you've got judgment about having a restless sleep. And then just settle yourself down. What I do is acknowledge that my mind's particularly active, or I can notice that I'm having a restless night's sleep because I'm anxious about this thing that's either happening or whatever it is. So I just acknowledge my mind's activity. And then I'd say to myself, but I'm not going to solve that problem now. And I would reassure myself that I'll be able to do it tomorrow. And then I do practice thought cloud. So I would just lie there and notice the thoughts and just be popping them, just close my eyes and say to myself, I'm just going to lie here. And I know that at some point soon I'm going to fall back to sleep. And I'm just not trying to sleep. I'm just putting my thoughts on the thought cloud, letting them drift by, lovely white clouds, thoughts, my mind's activity, creating the space, and just doing some breathing, nice long deep belly breaths and exhaling, and not trying to go back to sleep and not trying to do anything. Just really, this is absolute full acceptance practice. But yes, restless sleep is to be expected from time to time. And I think as you get older, you sleep a bit less, so you have a lighter sleep and you sleep less. So just start accepting that and know that the wrestling is the problem, not the restless night. The wrestling with it, not the restless sleep. And here's the last one. I would really love some tips or strategies on just sucking it up when I feel so overwhelmed that I want to throw it all in. Job, marriage, and find a black hole somewhere. It's like despair, and I have no rationality in relation to having a balanced view, practicing anchoring, keeping calm and clear, like I have no control over my emotions. They just have to surface for some reason. I need help to be able to control them. I even tried to be self-kind to those emotions, but the sense of despair and even some anger is so strong. Thanks for this one. It's a great one. I'm sure we can all relate to it. I certainly can. And I have some offerings for this. The first one is the 2 darts. Remember that we can hear in here, there's problems in this person's life. There are issues and problems playing out. And then there's that's the first dart, the problems and pain of what's happening. And the second dart is my judgment of the observing self, seeing all of this happening, all of this challenging activity, and having a massive reaction to that. It's not fair, I can't cope, all the what ifs, what if that anxiety doesn't stop? What if that person doesn't stop? Why me? Why now? I'm not coping. All of that activity is reactionary to the pain. So the pain and then the suffering. First dart, second dart. And it does sound to me like you've entered the red zone in this when you're experiencing, especially when you use the word despair, black hole, and that there's no control. We're not trying to control emotions, remember. Again, the more you try and resist emotions, the bigger they're going to get. Think about the anxiety, noticing my anxiety and then getting anxious about that. Noticing that I'm feeling sad and depressed, and then I'm getting sad and depressed about how often I feel sad and depressed. So it's really important that you notice that second layer of judgment and emotion and narrative. I think when you're in that red zone, the most important thing is to put your hand on your chest, touch your actual skin, or touch your face, and just say to yourself, it's okay. You actually just need to take a break from this feeling and either sit, lie down, walk, have a shower. I wouldn't even say, you could call a friend, but I think if you call a friend and you start trying to explain everything and you don't catch them at the right time, they might say one thing and then you'll go even more into red zone. So I just think, say to yourself, it's okay. Just slow down and go just wander around, make a cup of tea, take your time, and let that fierce energy that's surging through your body settle down. You're not going to be able to think about what to do while you're in that state. Remember, state and story. The state happens first. We can hear it. The emotion is surging around the body, and the mind, the brain, and the cognition is trying to make sense of it and creating stories and tapping into memory and beliefs about it all. So take a break. Then I think a good exercise to do, because there's so many things going on, I find this very helpful when I'm overwhelmed with a whole plethora of problems and pains, is to write down each challenge in point form, not a whole sort of essay, but just, mum's health and carers and and then I might put point form, work tasks I need to do, planning this, whatever it is, point form, and then a statement about something that I can do, one step that I can do to move towards more resolve for that. And then I would also go through it and accept, okay, once I see them there, I think, okay, they're all the problems that I'm dealing with at the moment. That's a lot, but I don't need to deal with them all at once. Then just choose one at a time and work through it. And if it's something that is going to take a while, like days or weeks, it's an ongoing problem, then give yourself some stepping stones, or signposting, as I like to call it. Okay, so in a week's time, I'll just do this or that. So we're doing some practical planning here to move through these problems, and we're also acknowledging the emotion and feelings that come with this particular problem. And I think you'll find compartmentalizing problems like this is really, really helpful, and has the bonus effect of anchoring you, because you'll feel more in control. Remember, we're not trying to control the emotion. What we can control is our response and our planning about how we're going to manage our problems. And then once you have calmed yourself down and done this process of writing everything down, and you've done acceptance practice, then I think you just need to be really kind and tap into a friend or yourself, or have a massage or something really nurturing, and acknowledge that, psychologically and emotionally, you've been in a storm today, or whenever it is, and that this is just a temporary, so we're right in the heart of impermanence here. I'm just in the eye of the storm, or I've just come out of the eye of the storm, and it's exhausting, and I'm going to just really not take much on for the next 24, 48, few days, out, whatever it is, a period of time, and give myself time to just recover. Your nervous system will be very, very activated. So I hope that's helpful. That is a really great description of moving from that, choppy state into red zone, and getting so overwhelmed that there's a part of you that believes you won't cope, and you will. You just don't. The most important thing when you go into that state is to say to yourself, you're not going to be able to resolve it. Just take a break. Take a break. That's what you need to do. So that's the 3 questions for today. Listen, from here on, what I've been doing recording these, first of all in this horizontal format, because it goes into Vimeo, and it's Q&A for retreaters, but I do get questions from private session clients, and I also get questions from some social media outlets, platforms, whatever you call it. And so what I'm going to do now is respond to your questions, all the retreater questions, one at a time, and they're going to go into Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube. And what I will do is make sure that those icons are working in the email that's in here, and also they're on the Mind Body Retreat website, and they're on the Joe Woods website, top right hand corner. So you can just check in. I guess you can subscribe to those channels, can't you? You can follow the Instagram and Facebook, and YouTube you can subscribe to. They will be there, single question posts So if I get 3, I'll do 3 different ones and I'll post them separately. So just watch out for them. If it's something urgent, I might just respond to you privately in an email and call you for a quick chat or something like that. But really wanting your questions to benefit as many people as possible. This is the whole point of a Q&A, is the commonality, to normalise our problems and pain for others, and create that sense of universality and community about being human and having problems and pain as a part of everyday life. So if you have any problems with that or pains with that, let me know. Otherwise, from here on, please subscribe to any of those. So Instagram, Facebook, Instagram Mind Body Retreat, Facebook Mind Body Retreat, YouTube Mind Body Retreat channel. And there's heaps of content there. All right. See ya.